involving other cons, I think, are just that. We just need to respect this objective.
I don't think that's true. You know, we know that Beryl loves gacha. There's no good or bad gambling. It's all good fun.
It's just gacha. He went for the gacha roll on Otacon, that's what you're saying?
He didn't hit. He's just going to do it again. Next time he will.
And the thing is, there's a pity system, right? So the more temples you throw into the Otacon, the better the outcome's going to be statistically.
There's no pity system.
I'm glad we have a gacha connoisseur to explain.
Yeah, I was going to say, Chronically doesn't even know what he's talking about. He doesn't play enough of them.
I actually don't.
Believe
but I do know that what you're saying is inaccurate.
What?
This instant,
the closest you've come is doing gacha on my account. One time in a taxi.
I don't even want to. I don't want to get into this. We see literally a ban come through as well. We'll have to see a big swap up from DK because even though they were allowed to come back in that game, I do feel like that is more detriment to GENG than it is DK really earning it. This is a no-brainer, but I want to see them with better lane matchups. To me, that was where the trouble really arose early on.
Yeah, I will say though, the balance have changed a decent amount with the Nidalee and the Yone taken away. And if you lock up Bessa, I really wonder what Keen is going to play in this situation. Is there a top laner perhaps that he leans on in every scenario? I do.
Oh, come on, Keen. Don't give us that quizzical look.
Yeah,
you know what you're looking in.
They're pondering like, oh, should I play Cassante here? Even in the show match, in the season opening, in the fun match, he's still locked in Cassante.
And then complained about it.
I mean, I imagine he's probably still having a great time. As the Keen Sante is going to be locked in, no surprises there. There's the Varus for Ruler as well, as they are limiting the champion pool of aiming one step further. But we'll see exactly what is going to be picked up here by D+, because of course the Ambessa could be flexed into the mid lane, things like this. But I don't know whether you're necessarily running away from a Cassante matchup as far as that one is concerned, so maybe just getting some good stuff if they can find it, as the Kai'Sa is showing me that D+ do not want standard lanes.
Yep, definitely want to swap playing the Kai'Sa and the Varus, but a pick that aiming is very comfortable on, seen him carrying this many times before. Definitely want to pair it with a negate support, but I think you couldn't be faulted for picking up a jungler here if they want to secure something. You know, Sejuani, Wukong, definitely decent options that you could take here. We'll see what they opt for, but they could end up going a different direction. They end up locking in the Azir.
This is the first time for Showmaker so far this season, right?
Yeah, it's kind of what I was looking for the moment that the Varus was locked in, because there is a pretty high profile play involved with Ruler and Azir. I don't know if you guys remember that one.
There is.
Yeah. I don't remember which team it was because they're no longer in the tournament, but I do think that we did see that. More importantly, it also picks it away from Chovy, who has been not prioritizing the Azir as highly as he's done in the past, but is still extremely strong at it, and it also takes it away from a later point of view. The one thing I am worried about is that does mean that no matter what Lucid picks here, because Poppy's already banned, your mid-jungle 2v2 is going to suffer because Azir is just not really that type of champion, and that worries me a little bit because that's been how DK has been successful. We do have aiming on Kai'Sa though, and Shio and Ambessa, so I think in terms of champion strength, they're still solid.
I am a little bit concerned though, just because we've seen the Maokai pick up, which is a great defensive pick in terms of peeling, and now you're banning away the Wukong. You really start to hamper away the tools that allow D+ to close onto GENG. The Renata ban is fantastic. That is like a must, because it definitely looks like with how things are going, D+ goal is get on top of Ruler,
then
and Ruler's goal is stop that.
Ben Brom, and then you have plenty of engage reports that you can go towards.
Yep.
I mean, I guess it could make sense, especially since like Leona and Nautilus are two of the ones that are like left open. As
what about
options?
The
Zyra.
Blitzcrank angle though, gentlemen.
Okay, that can't be the call. We're I guess it's Canyon, but still, I feel like the Zyra just hasn't really hit the mark thus far.
I think you've been watching a little bit too much.
I don't know, because I feel like if they put Maokai support in Zyra jungle, it would be so hard to dive into that. I feel like you'd just be unable to find success in a game in that situation. Even though Zyra hasn't, generally been successful, I think a lot of the reason it wasn't was it was picked in a Nidalee who just sat at a distance and threw spears.
Yeah, very early in drafts as well. A good point there. As the Aura gets locked in here for Chovy. No big surprises thus far. I love this from GENG because it also keeps hidden who is going where. And this is a bit of a throwback. Lucid, you can see him kind of chuckle as well. He's been playing a lot of carries, but back on Sejuani duty. And DK just going for what feels like a much more straightforward front-to-back style composition. There obviously is some dive elements with the Kai'Sa, but with the Azir, with the Ambessa, and with the Sejuani and Rel, you really have a comp that kind of covers all bases. If the laning can be better than last game.
It would be fantastic. I do like the idea of a Kai'Sa not even necessarily picked for the dive as well. It's more like an anti-get-all-in, all-outed by Keen, because he drags you out of the fight and then you just ult your way back in again. Maybe that's going to be a bit of an angle here, as the Braum, like you were talking about, is going to be locked in here. So GENG are not going to be engaging any fights ever, outside of, I guess, Ruler hitting a stray ultimate. And we'll see whether DK can get the angles they're looking for.
And I think the Rel pickup was also done with that in mind. I think if you're playing Nautilus, it's basically unplayable. I think Rel has a bit more angles into the Braum than you otherwise would.
Yeah, I feel like one thing though is like GENG's composition, it's like a 2-carry composition. You have like engage tools, you have disengage, but they're kind of lacking damage a bit. If Varus goes down, even if you trade 1-for-1, you lose so much of your team fight damage, and the enemy team is not only bulky, but you have like an Ambessa who, if you don't DPS her down, just runs rampant. You know, if you end up in a situation where even if you trade 80 carries, you're going to have less damage on GENG compared to what D+ has. So this needs to be a really clean game from them. It needs to be Ruler on point, not getting Azir shuffled at a critical moment.
Well, we'll see whether he can actually get that one done, as of course, it could also be the lethal tempo on the Varus as well,
I figure
especially
it will
in
be,
this game, just because there's not a lot of champions that are outranging him. So sometimes when you see the dual DPS compositions as a Varus and X, if it's lethality, you feel like you don't have as much to get across the line. I think with the lethal tempo, there's a chance the Ruler can carry, see if they can do it. So we jump onto the Rift. All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, game 2 of this best of 5. D+ looking to try and move us towards a best of 3 as we have full 5-man lineups meeting around this Brambleback camp. GENG once again just pushing forward. This is it's kind of weird what's going on.
Yeah, we saw last game the attempt from D+ to stop the invade. That was when you weren't playing into Braum Varus. Now you are playing in a Braum Varus. You can't contest them. And honestly, I mean, it's less so of a thing because it's the on-hit Varus, but you still kind of want to avoid that bot lane matchup, ideally. The Varus Braum, not a great matchup for the Kai'Sa to play into level 1, so I think they would have appreciated the information, but they kind of just gamble on the fact they are bot side. They are probably just going to put that bot lane bot, and we do end up getting the swap coming out with aiming running towards the top side.
Oh, and now that we'll get confirmation as well. Although Keen is obviously just hovering, Lucid might be looking for an invade as, oh.
Yeah, Beryl moving on over as well, so his position's going to be found out. As Crashdown, Keen just going to soak that. He's Cassante, so he's not too worried about it.
That's so interesting. Lucid went W.
Yeah, I think...
Instead of, I guess it must have been for the invade?
Yeah, I think it might be just to get the damage on Keen. I don't think it's a huge issue, specifically on the Raptors. It'd feel terrible if you started on like a buff.
Yeah.
It's not that big of a deal right now. He'll get his E next, and you know, Keen gets chunked out a decent amount, which means he's not really in a position to go towards top lane. As, you know, we talk about how dives are harder with the towers. It wouldn't take much to dive Keen in his current state.
True.
I want to highlight as well, Showmaker did the same thing that we saw Chovy do in his final match against Nongshim, which is going for the PTA. So gives you a lot more agency in these short trades compared to where you were before, especially with Electrocute being as strong as it is right now.
Kind of cute. Canyon now moving on over, throwing some Graves towards Xiu here.
He's level 3, and she was only level 1.
Oh, man.
Yeah, he wasn't able to get XP. I think this is the big thing why you see top laners often go towards mid, get that level 2 XP, and be in a much safer position. But, like, Shiwu's zoned off so heavily now, really in an uncomfortable position, and they're going to start being able to get plates, obviously, with no fortification on the bot side.
So they're going to be able to at least get a bit of extra money for themselves. There is a top wave that is going completely to the wayside also, as this is 100 games between Chovy and Showmaker. We'll see who's going to be able to take it here. Of course, Chovy a little bit further ahead as far as that matchup is concerned. Only a little bit further now, in fact, after the Game 1 victory.
It's crazy because there's a lot of players who just don't have 100 games in the LCK.
Yeah.
And the fact they have 100 games specifically against each other.
And then you've got Faker with 100 games on Azir.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. We have all sorts here in the LCK.
And Shiwa's just been taken out of this game initially. Still hasn't been able to make his way back. We do now see that Beryl did go for the base to make his way over. Keen is TP towards the top side of the map, but will be up a full level as Shiu finally makes it to a wave. and gonna be feeling okay. Still gets pummeled a little bit there, but I do think now we'll be able to finally start getting experience. I imagine Barrel's gonna keep him safe a little bit, but really, ideally wants to give over the experience to just the top laner.
Still not level 2.
No, because he has been completely denied, and
he was sharing the experience that he managed to get with Beryl.
Even so, it's devastating position to be in to still not be level 2 at this point of the game. And it means he's not just vulnerable like right now, he's going to remain vulnerable, and kind of Barrel's going to have to babysit. In fairness, you know, the Kai'Sa's pretty fine alone 1v1 against the K'Sante, but this has not started well, especially since it's Ambessa who, even though we've seen her be fine in lane swaps, you know, not as good as a K'Sante in a lower economy.
And you see as well, she was still very clearly playing so respectful. Like, he was just hovering in brush. Oh, it's Chovy.
Yeah, Showmaker looking for a little bit of an angle there, as Chovy is going to throw an ability slightly wide. Still supports and junglers hanging out in the area.
Yeah.
Not a true 1v1 or anything like that.
She was continuously, like, he was hiding, and I think not until they actually saw where Canyon was just sitting in brush. He was just like, Are they diving me? Like, I don't want to die. I really don't want to give up a kill early on. Didn't end up happening, and now when we look at it, Keen is still ahead, but I do think that they made it through, and now Shio is going to be, I think, about a level behind. That's at least playable compared to what it was before.
Yeah, definitely. I think if this had been before they buffed the towers, he was dead 7 times over.
Yeah.
So not as bad right now.
Support combat!
Wow, riveting.
Absolutely gorgeous. Beryl does manage to grab the ward, though.
Beryl.
Passive's going to come up
still
again.
Fighting. Yeah, Canyon's making his way in. Duro is going to start stacking it, but you can see Lucid. He's making his way through as well, so that is going to be the end of that scuffle.
Beryl was just thinking, like,
though.
I'm stealing his resists every time I hit him. So in the longer trade, I'm winning this. Didn't quite work out that way, though, because unfortunately, it's not a 1v1 between supports. There is other players on the map.
Yeah. And they're going to turn up. See Beryl looking a little worse for wear. As this fight around the grubs, this could be a little bit of a dangerous run, as like you were saying, Chovy not quite there just yet.
He's on his way though, and he has 6. Showmaker does not.
Yeah, they can't take this. Beryl's so low. Showmaker has no ult. Kai'Sa's late. This is a mistake if they try it.
Yep, Piercing Arrow also making sure that Beryl has to get out of there. So the first round of grubs going over to GENG by the looks of things. Canyon going to be able to hold on to that smite for as long as he would like.
Yeah, I think
we'll be able to secure all 3.
It's not even just the fact that Chovy had level 6, but you look at the item difference, because Showmaker hasn't reset yet, and he had just a no magic mantle having been picked up.
Yeah, it's sitting like over 1,000 gold, or about 1,000 gold in his inventory when he did go back and finally reset. So yeah, that would be a lot left on the table.
And Showmaker backing down, like, he's a full level behind. Like, he's going to be able to catch a good amount of this wave, but Chovy is still going to be very far ahead. And if GENG can just continue this early game burst, this is feeling very reminiscent of game number 1, with GENG actually leaning into really, really strong laning phase performances and out-rotating DK on the lane swap, sending Keen towards bot, keeping Shio completely away from any relevancy, as that's just Beryl. So he can hide in that brush and soak XP. Can't really do much more. I can pull the wave here to try and set up for aiming.
He's trying, but level 6 ruler, I think you have to give a lot of respect to.
Yeah. It's going to be a tough one to fight out. Chovy actually missing quite a few abilities that we'd often see hit. Showmaker in his head, maybe, in this laning phase, but none of it really consequential, as it's under 1,000, the gold lead for GENG right now, but they have themselves the first third of a feat of strength. No kills, though, so still waiting for that first blood. We'll see who manages to grab that.
Lane gank angle here for Lucid.
Yeah.
I wonder how far
K'Sante is pretty easy to kill, right?
6. Yeah, it might be a bit of a challenge. And now GENG obviously got those early grubs. They still have the pressure and can just move over to the dragon, so in a very comfortable spot.
Ow.
That's going to be both grubs and dragon. Indeed going over, as
well, not
still
both
here.
Grubs, it's only one set of grubs.
Yeah, fair. 3 out of...
Oh, yeah, 3 out of 6. Going over to GENG. So yeah, like you were saying, that is going to be 2/3 of the way towards that objective feat of strength.
Wait, no, I meant both grubs and dragon. Did I just get...
I think you got bamboozled.
I got bamboozled by Ox?
Yeah. Yeah. And I just sort of said words immediately afterwards without even processing what was said.
It took me so long to know this.
You're not in your game.
Scoundrel!
You're not in your game.
He just picked up a freebie. That's all right. Keen and Xiu continuing to fight here towards the bottom side. And we'll see whether Xiu can do some more of his Ambessa things. This guy's been so good on this pick, even back at the Kesper Cup.
Yeah.
When she'd only just come out. Of course, she was a little tuned to the north at that point in time, but still certainly taking her through her paces.
As opposed to now, where she's really balanced.
Been brought back to the 50%, 100%.
Yeah, I think very compared to Cassante, especially, also another very balanced champion.
Yeah.
I think both.
I think it's a battle of the balance, really.
Yeah. Yeah, who can dash the least and function in ordinary ways.
And be extraordinarily tanky whilst also doing more damage than you should.
Hey, one is a little bit more tanky and the other one has a little bit more sustain.
But they both dash too much.
Yeah. I think we're in the agreement on that one.
Where's Rise? You know, we saw him that one time and it was fantastic. I loved it. No dashing. You always knew where he was going to be unless he was using his ultimate. And speaking of ultimates, like you were saying, level 7 here for Canyon does discover that he's been spotted as he sweeps out that ward.
Oh, they're on the opposite side of the map for Lucid, so looks like the wave will be pushing towards them, so not the end of the world. They're going to be missing out a little bit, though.
Yeah, it does mean that GENG have great setup for the grubs coming up in 20 seconds.
Yeah.
They'll be able to push his wave in. Aiming has to deal with it. And it's always difficult to enter into the river against a Maokai. And especially if you don't have the vision set up there before, also playing into an Aurora is a bit of a nightmare. We can see a sacrifice end up coming through. Actually, TP coming in. Oh, this is very dangerous TP spot.
Yeah, you can see Canyon just walks on over and Bramble smashes Showmaker, who gets welcomed back to lane, and now he has 400 health.
Well, I don't think you're contesting grubs.
I don't. That should be 6 grubs. Aiming's going to have his back stopped as well.
Definitely not.
We are not contesting grubs. No.
Unless... No. Beryl's like, unless...
Maybe Beryl can just try and contest grubs himself.
It's a repeat of game number 1, right? Like, they're just getting choked out in lane.
Oh, God.
Beryl is fine.
Yeah, okay. Thankfully, it's not Aiming that has his back stopped. But still, this is so much tempo being given over to the team that already had so much tempo.
Yeah, and Ruler getting so much gold in this situation as well. The Varus, you know, we said this is a composition with 2 carries. You need to keep them live, you need them to be strong. They are going to be very strong. They already have leads. Ruler's getting a ton of gold. And it is going to be a challenge from here for D+. Down in the objective already, 6 grubs.
This is gone.
Yep.
And when you... So, Chronicler, when you were overselling DK versus GENG, and we hit game 1 and it was a bit of a blowout, and then halfway through game 2 it was a blowout. Is this about when the turnaround is supposed to happen?
If we follow the classic structure, yes, but I am getting worried. Maybe that's just part of the experience.
You know what it is?
What is it?
With did diff. It's just with did diff every time.
As soon as I saw it in the chat, I was like, but I was so looking forward to the DK Humble Life Esports rematch. I guess we just don't get to have it.
He's just too powerful.
He is so powerful. It is very true.
That's not only with it, it's also Jonas Strong at the same time.
I know, and he had the 3-0, guys.
Yeah, that's a combination.
And now we are getting close to a 3K gold lead. It's 2.5 now, but the bigger thing for me is how docile DK has looked in both of these 2 early games, when their explosiveness was, I think, one of the biggest edges that they had over both GENG and over Hanwha Life especially. But aiming has been completely neutered in this game. We see Showmaker TPing up onto wards where he absolutely should not be TPing to. And I don't even think if he doesn't TP that they can make that contest with aiming, as you pointed out, Ox already being caught on the back, that getting interrupted. But the fact that Chovy's like, yeah, like I can use my ult just for damage because you are not contesting this. There's absolutely no way. We don't need this. And TK just getting pushed in everywhere, getting Duro just walking like he owns their jungle.
Duro now claiming the victory in the 1v1 against Beryl.
Again.
Confidence. He's like, I can fight you away.
And look at
the upgraded Meg Treads, you know, the extra little bit of magic resist.
And look at all of this vision surrounding this Cloud Drake that's coming up as the second Drake of the game. There's already the feats of strength being picked up very passively before the first blood even comes through. As Beryl, maybe he got word of the fact that there's been no first blood just yet, as he's playing very far up. Now getting tagged by... This is a lethal tempo Varus.
Yeah, it's not even lethality, and they're getting poked out. I feel like every time we walk up to an objective, we see Ruler hit a nice arrow. And it's gonna have to be a crazy team fight, fine, but like, I think GENG's hard to team fight into. When you set up with Braum and Maokai, good luck.
I also think
moving down, Beryl and Lucid in the area to try and back up Shiu, but this Dragon, all the while, is just being attacked.
It's gone.
they can't fight. They're just not at a strong point right now.
Lucid with it, never mind. And that's a Mountain Soul as well this game. Earth, Wind, and Fire, you love to see it. We're grooving tonight, ladies and gentlemen, but we may not be grooving tonight for that long because this is looking so GENG favored.
I think we didn't even make sure. This is so GENG, and we haven't seen that this LCK Cup yet. I know that, you know, a lot of their stats are still good, but this feels very reminiscent of what we went through the entirety of last summer, where like nothing really happens.
Last summer, you mean last year?
Yeah, or the last couple of years, depending on how you look at it. Where nothing really happens, and then you look, and it's almost 3K gold lead at 14 minutes with 0 kills. That's big GENG.
I think the concern was losing a shot caller can have such a big impact, and how they would continue. Would they be able to continue to do this without one? And now seeing them do it with Duro on the roster, working well. Oh no.
Oh shoot. Well, he's going to try and ult his way out and does not manage to do so. The Winter's Bite is going to land as Canyon's going to reset the aggro. Chovy needs to get out of here though, as he does flash, and Shiu will survive as they do not quite have the damage.
Yeah, I'm honestly not sure. Would the ult hitting be better or worse? Honestly, in that scenario, hard to really know. But does survive the dive, and now they're looking for Ruler.
Yeah, the counter dive potentially coming in, but it's a teleport from Chovy, and that will save Ruler's life. He's also able to sit underneath this turret and grab all of these minions.
And this is the worst part. Like, Shiu outplays that, and, you know, maybe the ult, I'm with you. I don't know if it actually is better if he hits it because he gets away from Chovy, but it did cause them to back off a little bit. Maybe that was the time, but they still lose the turret. They don't get any counter punch. Like, they get Chovy's TP, but that's not the biggest deal. There's no objective up for them to take on top side of the map. Keen has the top turret on lockdown, so like, I think that's still a GENG favorite play. You get the turret,
yeah,
you take the flash out away from the Mbessa.
And look at this money, right? On the left-hand side of your screen, Ruler and Chovy, the two with the most of it, and Ruler has been really making it work for him here in this mid lane as he is constantly poking Beryl and aiming out. And I keep having to check down just to see whether he's bought a serrated Dirk or something like that, because it just feels like these piercing arrows are hitting for more than they really should. I think it has a lot to do with the fact that he's being able to stay up in levels as well as DK.
First.
Yep, they're going to be able to take this Rift Herald by the looks of things, unless Canyon can really book it, but it's not going to be the case. As Ruler wanting to trade for this outer turret in the mid lane. Shiu taking a lot of damage. There's the Blighted Quiver stacks really getting broken down. Glacial Fissure comes in as Beryl looks for the backline. Empress Divide onto Ruler. It's gorgeous from Showmaker. And they take him down first. The Killer Instinct into the backline as Keen will be able to go all out and get rid of aiming. But not before he grabs a double kill. Chovy now trying to answer back the fight as Shiu. Not the raid boss we saw from him. And he will be cut down. And sometimes you forget about the Cassante.
Aiming, what was that? He dove into the turret and died. They cut Ruler. That was the narrative play. He got swept up.
I think he had to, because I think he was in a position where he was about to get blown up by Chovy, I believe. If you watch the replay, so they get this initial fight at the start. He goes on a Ruler, and then Chovy goes the other side, and aiming's like, I have to ult away. Goes to Duro, which unfortunately Duro survives long enough to ult. He's on the tower. But I think Eamon was like, I can't stand next to the Aurora. I have to get away. And he ended up picking a choice that didn't pan out. The thing is, I think the fight started really well for D+ with how it played out. And it was great moves from Showmaker onto Ruler. But with the deficit, they didn't have the throughput to get through the fight, to get through all these bulky health bars. That being said, Summoner's down, the flash down for Ruler. I think ideally for D+, they find another fight like that while his Summoners, while his flash is unavailable. Dragon up in a minute, that might be the angle.
Yeah, well, Ruler is going to have his flash a little bit before Showmaker does, so I think DK going to have to look for a different angle to lock down the Varus outside of the flash shuffle.
Also, another thing is, Shiu just didn't have his ult for that fight. It came up like right at the end, which was really unfortunate. But, you know, maybe you can look for an angle, we connect that on a Ruler, and that could be the play.
And if we do change up the course of this series, very much the way that against Halma, Shiu found the big outplay and it kind of turned the tide, made that from what felt like a stomp into competitive one. I think it's gonna have to be these Mountain Dragons, because the one issue that GENG is gonna have without a shadow of a doubt is if DK starts stacking them, gonna be really hard to actually get through the health bars.
Oh man, as the dust settles though, guys, I'm looking at this Keen Sante at
It's a problem.
2-0-2, and I don't know whether he'll ever take damage, let alone die, as Canyon also finding himself pretty tanky in this fight. Duro dashing forward, not finding the Winter's Bite, as this fight for control of the mid lane is escalating. GENG now moving towards the Dragon. Remember, this is Soul Point, Mountain Soul. If Keen gets that, he will be immortal.
No TP for Keen.
Yeah, as opposed to now where he's...
Immortal.
Yeah. But definitely won't help. I think we can all agree on that one. Right now, we see GENG setting up to get this mid cryo. The tower's so low as well with those 6 grubs. Like, you have to defend it. You have to have someone there clearing the wave. Ambitious, Barrel.
Yeah. He's not afraid of anything, though. That's what he's proving
Aiming's
over
already
and over again.
jumped. They need to get this. They cannot afford to give Soul Point over to GENG here, and I think DK, they feel the necessity.
Yeah, Showmaker going to be able to make his way in. He's got his ultimate. I don't know whether they're going to be able to steal away this Dragon, but can they find themselves a victory in the fight? And the answer might just be no. Xiu going to get caught out of position. The 2-man ulti from Duro is so good as well, as Lucid's going to get slowed down, and GENG are now on the warpath. Ulti comes through from Chovy to slow down Miss Piggy, as Bristle is going to get pushed out of the fight. Rift Herald goes down and is otherwise just forgotten, and GENG continue their onslaught.
It's almost impossible to take down an entrenched position when there's Maokai, Braum, and Cassante. It just can't be done. You can see there, DK's trying, but they're just not getting any angles.
Yeah, I also think Chovy doing such a fantastic job playing on these flanks and just getting so much poke damage down.
Look at that.
Oh,
He
yeah.
chunks Xiu out, and it makes it so difficult because it's an Aurora with Flash. You can't engage onto her. They put the lockdown on the Ambassador, doesn't get to play the game. And then here, D+ is just kind of licking their wounds as they disengage. GENG get a kill, they get the Dragon, they manage to defend them mid-tier 1, but also, this was a potential weak point where Ruler doesn't have his flash available. It's about to come back up, and it's going to get so much harder for D+.
Ow, that hurt.
Oh, it's the base again.
A little bit painful. Yeah, and there's an Otacon right there.
Okay, the one thing that GENG that GENG needs to be very careful of.
Is this the way back in for DK? The GENG curse of the Otacon fight situation.
Xiu STP, they're gonna have to. This is the only moment I think you're gonna get. If Otacon goes over, GENG wins this game, and you're down 2-0.
Oh, aiming so low, and the red buff just timed out, so no more sustain.
Yeah, Showmaker's also spotted as Keen diving on in. The Magnus Storm is decent. The Brambles are keeping them away, though, as Beryl dies, Lucid dies, and aiming just rockets himself into the backline to suicide. Oh no, Showmaker gets himself out of there, and the Otacon will just be secured by GENG. That was no GENG incident on their side of the rift, and DK back to the drawing board once again.
D+, they find Ruler, but they just don't have enough in the tank afterwards. They have to commit so many members to take him out, and even though everything connects, he survives for a long time, and we have this bulky tanks in the way. The ult comes out, we get the ult from Ambassador as well. Ruler's still alive until aiming goes in to secure the kill, and at that point, 4 members for 1 is never a with trade.
Yeah, that engages a necessity, because either Beryl tries to engage there, right? Lucid has to walk up to at least threaten a dive. If you don't do that, then Lucid just dies, you don't get to steal. But obviously, you're still engaging into the front line of GENG. And DK, unless GENG makes a massive mistake repeatedly around Baron, around dives, they shouldn't realistically have a way back into this one. 2 minutes until the mountain comes up, and if you think they're tanky now,
well,
I mean, he has the buff. Like, you can maybe take him down, but
well, Bramble Smash value is pretty high. He does invest the flash to hold onto his buff for as long as he can. And look at that, Sap sipping his way back to relatively decent help as aiming comes on over. There's the Brambles coming on out there. Canyon still alive, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. Emperor's Divide to throw Ruler back towards aiming. The flash forward as Drew wants to be able to get the passive proc, and he will be able to get it. Aiming goes down, and Keen's running amok, managing to land the double Q onto Showmaker and Lucid. Duro still just giving them the door as best he can. Xiu gets in here, but look at Keen. He's immovable. And GENG, this is with Otacon.
Oh man, D+, they're trying to find these angles, but there's just such a deficit, and some clutch moments from GENG. Duro keeping Ruler alive for the extra bit of time. That just results in aiming going down. Also very funny that Duro kills him. This is the start of that passage of play where Canyon's a little bit overextended, but they just take so long to cut through his health bar. And so much committed as well in this situation. You know, the ult comes out from Lucid for the flash. And then in this play, I think Juro just completely clutched this. We end up seeing a great shuffle again from Showmaker that knocks Ruler in. And Aiming thinks it's a free kill, but the Braum blocks so much damage, has to flash for it, and then dies to Juro because his ult isn't quite available.
It's just a complete disaster for DK. And it's, again, all of this to me, it just feels like a snowball effect. They have to go for these forced plays because they're falling so far behind in lane. And then you end up with these really desperate fights, which GENG are very ready, very happy to take. And we are looking at, we're going to have to flip something.
Oh, there's no way you kill that K'Sante.
No.
Yeah.
And also, it's 25 seconds.
I actually think if all 5 members of D+ were top, they would still lose soul by the time they kill.
But as soon as they see Lucid here, and Keen just did.
I mean, they just give
it free mountain soul.
No, they're giving it up.
He just did the walk strategy.
Oh no.
They're giving it up. Yeah, they're not going to try and contest for soul, which means that if you fought K'Sante, was tanky before. If you thought Maokai was tanky before.
The thing is, it's not even just them, but like the game plan for D+ has been dive Ruler, kill him, hope we win the fight afterwards. He is now going to be tanky.
He's going to go Jackshow.
Yeah, he's going to be
third
so
item.
hard to kill. He's going to, and he has the Braum sitting on his. Oh man, it's
And they're probably still going to do it. They're probably still going to try and use everything to try and kill Ruler.
You know what?
And he's going to survive the entire fight while everyone else is dying around him.
Guys, I'm going to say it. I don't think D+ chances in this game look very good.
I would say that they would be the underdog.
I would say they are definitely the underdogs here.
Well, Chovy's going to dive in and really prove that point as the Bramble's coming on through as well. Showmaker the target, and he will be executed. The Sundisk.
They don't even get rid of shield! Come on, man!
Yeah.
Okay, hear me out. Might be a little early for this.
Okay.
Is Nongshim better?
Oh, God. Well...
I'm joking.
I guess maybe they did a lot better against GENG.
The actual reason is that GENG very clearly looked like a different team from a couple of days ago, but look at this defense!
Well, there's a Magnet Storm onto a couple of people. The Baron is also going down in the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, and I don't know whether they win this 3 versus 4. Keen getting healed back up by God knows what. And yeah, there goes the Baron. So the 3 versus 4 keep away of the 2-man Baron is very simply executed.
But they did actually get Keen under half HP, which is very impressive, all things
I thought you were actually going to talk about a positive.
No, this game is done!
It was the tone of voice that really caught me off guard.
That's how he gets you.
No, he did. That's why we pay him the big bucks. Let's have a look at this engage once again from Chovy.
And yeah, Chovy sets it up. And to be fair, at this point, there aren't really a lot of plays that are bad for GENG. But I want to highlight what Ox was saying earlier, and I think we even saw that with the breakdown that we did. Chovy's pressure in this game has been incredible, and it's something he did on the Sylas. The Sylas KDA didn't look nearly as impressive, but I think his neutralization of Showmaker has been the biggest reason as to why this game has looked so lopsided. We know how reliant DK is on Showmaker actually being able to make plays. And we're just not getting any of that because Chovy is bullying him in every single lane we've seen so far. Like, what is it, like an average 20, 30 CS gap every single time we get to our first fight?
Yep, it's absolutely obscene. And this game, 2-0-7 on the Aurora. I don't even think Aurora has been an all that good pick for Chovy throughout this tournament thus far, as Xiu going to get pushed out. The Brambles are going to be used just to zone them away from this inhibitor turret, but maybe Keen's going to look for an engage angle as well. As it turns out, what you need to do is destroy structures, though, and so GENG, all business as they move into the enemy base. 2 inhibitors in the blink of an eye.
The Mountain Soul is doing so much here. I keep seeing like abilities being thrown into GENG, like aiming.
Look at that!
And it just
they're autoing Canyon.
Damage.
Can you see it?
No, I didn't actually see it, Chronicler. He does have a large shield, though. Was that larger prior? That's the question. Oh, he lost. No, it's back again. He lost a bit. He doesn't have a shield right now. It's now your time as the ulti comes in from Chovy. Oh my goodness, Keen just pushes him into the wall. He gets taken down exceptionally low.
They got him.
Tanking up 2 Nexus turrets was maybe a little bit too much here, but the Nexus turrets are now removed. The Sundisk, as well as the Killer Instinct, flies forward from aiming, but unfortunately, the Killer Instinct was on the side of GENG in this particular game. They're going to go to match point obscenely early in this best of 5, and DK really going to have to wake up now.
And you might look at that Nongshim series and go, hey, you know, GENG, they were up 2-0 on that one as well, and that became a 5-game banger. I don't quite have the same feeling about this one with how these games have played out.
Yeah, it's been, and I feel like it's textbook Gen G. You know, we talked about them just accruing advantages over time, but it feels like they are leveraging even slight advantages so heavily, like reset timers, or the fact that Chovy's like a little bit of experience up, the way they've handled the early lane setups as well with, you know, Chiwu being punished so heavily in the swap. It just feels like these little edges they fester. They become wounds that you just can't heal from over the course of the game. Chovy does 1 million damage. Oof. Obviously, he was just getting so much poke, but like, it's one of these things where, like, yes, they've committed some big picks like the Cassante for Keen, but, you know, there's still so many champions available. We're only 2 games into it. We're not late and fearless, and Gen G are staring down a 3-0.
And to me, again, it comes down to the mid lane matchup. I think that DK with Showmaker looking comfortable is so far away. And we haven't seen that this series so far, and if we don't, I think it's going to be a free zip.
Yep, he's just playing champions that are way too normal. That's not what we want. We want the Trinimirs, we want Zillions, we want all sorts of weird stuff from Showmaker moving into game number 3. We are going to go to a short break, the space. Going to break that one down, and we'll see whether DK can keep themselves alive.
색깔 사도 된다. 안 맞았어. 근데 쟤네 나면 공 본다.
아 얘네 어차피 이거 얘네가 해야 돼.
맞아, 얘네가 해야 되긴 해.
얘네 못 지워.
이거 포탑 깨줄 수 있나요? 아, 어저께.
그냥 그 걸리는 것만 조심해.
한번 공만 볼게.
야 파이서 넣었어요?
조심.
살짝 걸렸다.
타워 깨자.
나 누웠고.
아, 그냥
타워부터 깨.
나공 볼게.
이거 아지를 공만 조심하면 끝나.
바로 잡고.
안 뺏어. 마우스만 지키면 돼.
난 죽었어.
되나? 이거 빼주면 안 되지?
단단해.